On this day in history, we remember the remarkable individuals who shaped our world. Welcome to Who Died Today in History, where we honor their legacies. From artists to leaders, their impact lives on. If you find their stories meaningful, like, subscribe, and hit the bell to stay connected. Geraldine Page, a titan of American stage and screen, died of a heart attack on June 13, 1987, in her New York City apartment. Her passing marked the end of a distinguished career defined by emotional intensity, artistic integrity, and a profound commitment to character-driven storytelling. Page's natural death, though lacking dramatic spectacle, underscored the quiet dignity of an artist who eschewed celebrity in favor of craft, reflecting the shifting values of a mid-20th century American theater scene rooted in realism and psychological depth. Page rose to prominence during a time when American acting was being reshaped by method performance, an approach emphasizing emotional truth over theatricality. She was a product of this era, trained alongside legends such as Marlon Brando and Paul Newman. Her roles in films like Interiors and The Trip to Bountiful, for which she won the Academy Award for Best Actress in 1986, just a year before her death, exemplified the growing appetite for introspective, character-rich narratives that mirrored the anxieties and hopes of post-war America. The immediate consequences of her death were marked by a wave of tributes from colleagues and admirers who hailed her as one of the most authentic and fearless performers of her generation. Her passing, coming so soon after long overdue recognition by the Academy, was tinged with a sense of loss and poetic timing. It elevated her legacy, transforming her into a symbol of artistic perseverance and emotional honesty, qualities increasingly rare in an industry often driven by image over substance. Page's death reflects humanity's relationship with mortality, particularly in how we value those who devote their lives to enriching our emotional and intellectual lives through art. While she may not have been a political figure or cultural revolutionary in the traditional sense, Page's work challenged audiences to confront the depth and complexity of the human experience. In doing so, she wielded a different kind of power, one that resonates long after the final curtain falls. We immortalize Geraldine Page through the revival of her performances, retrospectives, and the continued reverence she receives in acting circles. Her legacy is kept alive in the texture of modern theater and film, where her influence lingers as a reminder that truth in performance is timeless. Her passing may have been quiet, but its echoes continue to shape the art she so dearly loved. Tim Russert, the influential American journalist and long-serving moderator of NBC's Meet the Press, died suddenly of a heart attack on June 13, 2008, at the age of 58. His passing was both unexpected and deeply felt across the political and media landscapes, coming at a time of national introspection and growing political polarization. Russert's death, though natural, underscored the increasing strain of the 24-hour news cycle and the pressures placed on public figures in the information age. Russert collapsed while preparing for a broadcast in Washington, D.C., a symbol of his tireless dedication to informing the public. As one of the most respected political interviewers of his generation, he became known for his tough but fair questioning style, his encyclopedic knowledge of American politics, and his unshakable Midwestern sensibility. His sudden death just months before the 2008 presidential election, the first in which a black candidate, Barack Obama, was a serious contender, left a void in political journalism during a moment of historic transformation. The immediate consequences were profound. Tributes poured in from across the political spectrum. Journalists, politicians, and everyday viewers mourned not only the man, but what he represented. A commitment to civic discourse rooted in integrity and accountability. His absence was especially palpable as the nation approached one of its most consequential elections, a time when his voice would have provided insight and stability. Russert's death reflects broader tensions of his era, between media responsibility and political partisanship, between traditional journalism and the rise of internet-fueled commentary. He stood as a bridge between old-school reporting and the fast-paced digital future, and his passing became a moment of reckoning for an industry undergoing seismic change. In the years since, Russert has been memorialized through journalism awards, fellowships, and the renaming of media centers in his honor. His legacy endures not just in plaques or headlines, but in the standard he set for holding power to account with clarity and fairness. His death reminds us that the voices we trust in public life can shape national understanding, and that their sudden silence leaves more than a professional gap. It reveals our deep yearning for truth, trust, and leadership. Through memory, media, and tribute, we continue to honor Tim Russert's enduring role in America's democratic conversation. Cormac McCarthy, the reclusive titan of American literature, died of natural causes on June 13, 2023, at the age of 89. His death marked the end of a singular voice in modern fiction, a writer whose stark prose, moral intensity, and apocalyptic vision redefined the boundaries of literary storytelling. McCarthy's passing, quiet and dignified, reflected both his personal distaste for public life and the introspective themes that defined his work: mortality, violence, isolation, and the search for meaning in a brutal, indifferent world. McCarthy spent his career probing the darkest corners of human existence. From the desolate borderlands of Blood Meridian to the post-apocalyptic landscape of The Road, his characters wrestled with fate, evil, and survival in worlds stripped of comfort or certainty. His death came at a time when society was grappling with many of the existential questions his work explored: climate crisis, war, and cultural fragmentation, making his literary legacy feel especially relevant. The immediate response to his death was an outpouring of reflection from the literary community. Writers, critics, and fans paid tribute not just to his talent, but to his uncompromising vision. Unlike more public literary figures, McCarthy rarely gave interviews or public readings. This sense of mystique only amplified the impact of his passing, casting him more firmly in the mold of an American legend, part philosopher, part mythmaker. McCarthy's death didn't shift the political trajectory of a nation, but it did signal the loss of a moral compass in literature. His absence was felt as a reminder of how rare it is for a writer to challenge readers so relentlessly to confront the raw truths of the human condition. In his death, the literary world lost not only a master craftsman, but a voice that dared to stare into the abyss and find, however fleeting, glimpses of grace. What his passing reveals about humanity is our enduring need to grapple with mortality through story. We look to figures like McCarthy to help us articulate the unspeakable, to navigate the spaces where language falters. He is immortalized not through grand monuments, but through his novels, works of art that endure, challenge, and haunt. In that, McCarthy's legacy becomes timeless, a mirror held up to the soul of a world still struggling to understand itself. Benji Gregory, best known for his role as Brian Tanner on the 1980s sitcom ALF, died unexpectedly in June 2024 at the age of 46. His death, ruled as accidental due to suspected heat stroke while sitting in his car in Arizona, was a tragic and deeply sobering event. The circumstances, dying alone and unnoticed in an everyday setting, highlighted not only the fragile nature of life, but also the often overlooked mental health and personal struggles of former child stars who fade from the public eye. Gregory's untimely passing shed light on a darker undercurrent of the entertainment industry, the emotional and psychological toll on child actors who are thrust into fame before they can understand its consequences. After his early success, Gregory gradually withdrew from Hollywood, later serving in the U.S. Navy and living a largely private life. His death served as a stark reminder of the pressures many former celebrities face when they step away from the spotlight, navigating identity, stability, and health without the structure that once defined them. The news of his passing was met with both sadness and nostalgia. Fans of ALF remembered the innocent, wide-eyed boy who shared screen time with a sarcastic alien puppet, bringing warmth and humor to homes across America during the Reagan era. Gregory's role captured the escapist optimism of 1980s television, a time when sitcoms leaned into the fantastical to offer relief from the anxieties of the Cold War and shifting family dynamics. His death revived conversations about that cultural moment and the innocence it once represented. While Gregory may not have shaped political or artistic history on a grand scale, his passing revealed the deeper emotional bond that viewers often form with entertainers, especially those tied to childhood memories. In death, he became a symbol of both joy and vulnerability, echoing broader human themes of impermanence and the yearning to be remembered. We honor figures like Benji Gregory not with statues or epic biographies, but through collective memory, digital tributes, and the revival of the shows that first made them beloved. In this way, even those who slip quietly from the world are granted a kind of immortality, proof that fame, however fleeting, can leave an imprint on the heart of a generation. Darla Hood, best remembered as the spirited and endearing female lead of the Our Gang, also known as the Little Rascals, comedy shorts, died suddenly at the age of 47 on June 13, 1979. Her death, caused by heart failure following a minor surgical procedure, was unexpected and deeply felt by fans of the series who had grown up watching her on screen in the 1930s. Though not violent or scandalous, her passing brought renewed attention to the fading stars of early Hollywood and the often unseen struggles they faced in life after childhood fame. As the face of innocence and mischief in Depression-era cinema, Darla represented a generation of young performers who gave America laughter in hard times. The Our Gang series was groundbreaking for its time, featuring children of different races playing and learning together in a world that defied the era's racial and social barriers. Darla's charm, talent, and signature bows made her an icon of American childhood, her performances capturing the optimism and resilience that many desperately needed during a decade marked by economic hardship. Her untimely death in the late 1970s, decades after her rise to fame, coincided with a growing cultural nostalgia for the early days of Hollywood. It also highlighted how many child actors, including Darla, found it difficult to recapture their youthful stardom or transition into adult roles. Though she had continued performing in small ways, through music and appearances, her most enduring legacy remained tied to her childhood persona, a bittersweet reminder of fleeting fame and the rigidity of typecasting in Hollywood. The immediate response to her death was a renewed interest in the Little Rascals series and a collective mourning for the innocence it represented. As with many former child stars of that era, Darla's passing prompted discussions about the emotional cost of early fame and the limited support systems available to those once adored by millions. Darla Hood's story reveals our complex relationship with memory and mortality. We often enshrine youthful icons in the amber of nostalgia, forgetting the real lives behind the roles. Yet through restored films, fan tributes, and retrospectives, Darla remains forever young, a symbol of laughter, resilience, and the timeless charm of childhood. Her image lives on, not only in black and white reels, but in the shared memory of generations who saw in her a reflection of joy amidst adversity. Benny Goodman, often hailed as the king of swing, died of natural causes on June 13, 1986, at the age of 77. His passing marked the end of an era for American music, closing the chapter on one of the most influential figures of the 20th century jazz and swing movements. Goodman's death was not violent or dramatic, but it carried symbolic weight, signaling the quiet sunset of the big band era he had once dominated. Goodman rose to fame in the 1930s, a time when America was struggling through the Great Depression. His music offered a spirited escape, full of energy, rhythm, and innovation. In 1938, he broke cultural ground by performing a racially integrated concert at Carnegie Hall, an event not only iconic for its musical excellence, but for challenging racial norms in one of the nation's most prestigious venues. Goodman's orchestras often featured black musicians like Teddy Wilson and Lionel Hampton, defying segregationist expectations in entertainment and society. His death came during a period when jazz had long since given way to rock, pop, and electronic music, but his influence remained undeniable. The immediate response to his passing was reverent. Tributes poured in from across the music world, recognizing him not just as a clarinet virtuoso, but as a cultural unifier. His music bridged divides, racial, generational, and even geographic, and helped legitimize jazz as a sophisticated American art form. Goodman's legend, already solidified by his trailblazing performances and recordings, was amplified in death. It reminded audiences of a time when music carried the power to uplift a nation and subtly challenge societal injustices. His passing reinvigorated interest in swing music, leading to retrospectives, reissues of his recordings, and renewed appreciation for the elegance and precision of his art. In the broader human narrative, Goodman's life and death underscore how creative excellence can transcend time, and how cultural icons are often remembered not just for their talent, but for how they shaped the world around them. Through documentaries, museum exhibits, music festivals, and educational tributes, Goodman continues to be immortalized, not only as the king of swing, but as a quiet revolutionary who used his clarinet to stir both joy and change. His legacy echoes in every jazz ensemble and big band performance that dares to bring swing back to life. Ned Beatty, a distinguished character actor whose powerful presence graced more than 160 films and television shows, passed away of natural causes on June 13, 2021, at the age of 83. His death marked the loss of one of Hollywood's most dependable and transformative supporting actors, a performer who brought emotional complexity to every role, whether in drama, comedy, or political thrillers. Beatty's career took flight with a jarring debut in Deliverance, 1972, a film that confronted audiences with the brutal realities of violence and survival in rural America. His performance in that film, vulnerable and raw, challenged traditional notions of masculinity during a time of cultural upheaval in the United States. Throughout the 1970s and beyond, Beatty became a fixture in films that mirrored the tensions of their time. Network, 1976, where he delivered a legendary monologue about the dehumanizing forces of corporate capitalism, and All the President's Men, 1976, which tapped into the post-Watergate skepticism toward government institutions. The timing and tone of his passing, peaceful and private, stood in contrast to the often turbulent and morally fraught roles he inhabited. His death prompted a wave of appreciation from filmmakers, actors, and critics who acknowledged his quiet but profound impact on American cinema. It wasn't the kind of headline that sent shockwaves across the globe, but within the artistic community, it was a moment of deep respect and reflection. Beatty's legend grew not from tabloid drama or leading man glamour, but from his unwavering dedication to the craft of acting. He was a master of nuance, a scene stealer who elevated every project with intelligence and humanity. His death, coming during a time when the film industry was reckoning with the loss of many Golden Age actors, underscored the value of character work and the essential contributions of supporting players in shaping cinematic history. In commemorating Ned Beatty, we confront our own evolving relationship with fame, legacy, and mortality. He is immortalized not by grand monuments, but through the emotional echoes of his roles, on screens that continue to flicker with his brilliance. His characters, full of doubt, humor, power, and vulnerability, remind us that every story needs depth, and every life leaves a mark, however subtle or unassuming. Fran Allison, best remembered as the warm and engaging human counterpart to the puppets Kukla and Ollie on the beloved children's television program Kukla, Fran, and Ollie, died of natural causes on June 13, 1989, at the age of 81. Her death was quiet, without scandal or spectacle, yet it marked the end of a gentle era in American entertainment, one grounded in sincerity, imagination, and emotional intelligence. Born in Iowa in 1907, Allison came to prominence during a time when television was still in its infancy. Her work on Kukla, Fran, and Ollie, which premiered in 1947, resonated deeply with audiences of all ages. The show, known for its unscripted format and intelligent humor, stood in stark contrast to the increasingly commercialized and fast-paced children's programming that would follow in later decades. Fran, with her soothing voice and maternal demeanor, served as a grounding presence amidst the whimsy of puppetry, bridging the world of adults and children with effortless grace. The news of her passing was met with heartfelt tributes, particularly from those who had grown up watching her in the post-war years. Her death reminded many of a bygone era, one shaped by a belief in television's power to educate and uplift. It also illuminated the shift in societal values, from community-centered, personality-driven entertainment to more polished and mass-produced media. Fran Allison's legacy wasn't built on controversy or celebrity spectacle, but on trust. She earned the affection of a generation by treating children with respect and intelligence, which reflected the values of her time: post-war optimism, the importance of moral guidance, and the cultivation of emotional literacy through entertainment. Her death did not create political shockwaves, nor did it alter global trajectories, but it prompted a quiet cultural reflection. It offered a chance to consider what we've lost in the transition to modern media and what we choose to carry forward. Fran is immortalized not through grand monuments or blockbuster films, but through the continued affection of those who remember her gentle presence. In remembering Fran Allison, we are reminded of humanity's enduring need to feel seen and heard, especially in childhood. Through archive footage, retrospectives, and the occasional nostalgic revival, her voice echoes softly, an enduring testament to the quieter forms of greatness. Anita Palenberg, the enigmatic muse and actress closely intertwined with the Rolling Stones' chaotic rise during the 1960s and 70s, died in June 2017 at the age of 73. Her death from natural causes marked the closing chapter of a life that both embodied and challenged the era's shifting cultural landscape, a time when rebellion, freedom, and artistic experimentation were both celebrated and feared. Palenberg's life was inseparable from the cultural revolution of the late 20th century. She was not merely a partner to rock legends like Keith Richards, but an icon in her own right, symbolizing the liberation and excess of the psychedelic age. Her presence reflected the decade's challenges, breaking free from conservative social norms, exploring new modes of expression, and confronting the darker consequences of fame and addiction. The hedonism and tumult that defined her life mirrored the era's struggle between idealism and self-destruction. Her death did not trigger political upheaval or societal crisis, but it resonated profoundly within the cultural memory of rock and roll. Immediate reactions included an outpouring of respect and nostalgia, highlighting Palenberg's role in shaping the stone's mystique and the broader countercultural movement. While she was sometimes overshadowed by the men she inspired, her passing reignited interest in the contributions women made to the rock scene beyond traditional roles. In death, Anita Palenberg's legend took on a reflective tone, an emblem of the fleeting nature of youth and rebellion. Her story illuminated how the 1960s, often romanticized for its creative explosion, also carried the weight of personal loss and the costs of fame. Palenberg's life and death together reveal the human tension between the desire for immortality through art and the inevitability of mortality. We immortalize figures like Palenberg not only through photographs and music documentaries, but through the cultural mythology they help create. Literature, film, and biographies capture her complex allure, while fans and historians continue to revisit her impact on music, fashion, and the spirit of an era. Through these memorials, she remains a symbol of transformation, a reminder of how mortality and memory intertwine in the ongoing story of cultural history. Jean-Eugène Robert Udan, often hailed as the father of modern magic, died in 1871 from natural causes, at a time when France was convulsed by political upheaval and cultural transformation. His death occurred shortly after the fall of the Second French Empire, and amid the turbulent rise of the Third Republic, a period marked by rapid industrialization and shifting societal values. Robert Udan's passing reflected an era that increasingly valued science, innovation, and the blending of art with technology, an ethos he embodied through his pioneering approach to magic. Robert Udan's death did not cause a dramatic political shock or immediate cultural crisis, but it marked the end of a chapter in performance art history. Known not just as a magician but as a skilled inventor, he revolutionized stagecraft by introducing mechanical devices, automatons, and theatrical lighting that elevated magic from mere street performance to refined theatrical spectacle. This blend of illusion and engineering mirrored the broader 19th century fascination with progress, mechanization, and the mysteries of technology, a time when science was beginning to demystify nature. Yet art sought to preserve wonder. His legacy grew substantially after his death, as future magicians, including the legendary Harry Houdini, who famously adopted a variation of Robert Houdin's name, credited him as a foundational influence. His death amplified his legend by allowing later generations to mythologize his contributions to magic as the moment when illusion crossed into art. Robert Houdin's work symbolized the Victorian era's tension between rationalism and enchantment, embodying a society eager to explore the boundaries of both. The immediate consequences of his passing involved a transition in magical entertainment from the intimate mechanical marvels Robert Houdin created to the larger, more theatrical illusions that would dominate the 20th century. Yet his emphasis on elegance, showmanship, and intellectual curiosity set the standard for what magic could aspire to be. Reflecting on Robert Houdin's death reveals humanity's complex relationship with mortality, power, and memory. Though his physical presence vanished, his innovations ensured his immortality through art and performance. We commemorate him in magic literature, museums, and biographies, celebrating how his blend of science and artistry continues to inspire wonder. Through these tributes, Robert Houdin remains a timeless symbol of human creativity's power to transform the ordinary into the extraordinary.